Tucked away and sitting on the beautiful North Piney Creek in Story is artist Janey Wing Kenyon's glass art studio. In the small studio is where she creates what she calls whimsical art. Let's find out how she found herself creating these pieces in Story, Wyoming.
I found Story because my grandparents found Story. Actually, my great-great-aunt found Story in 1910. So in 1910, she was working here, and so my grandparents, my grandfather family came, and they loved it. So in the 40s, they bought 20 acres here, my grandparents, and eventually it was split up, and the house and 2 acres went to my mother, and eventually we bought it from my mom, got it.
Where did the interest in art come from?
Well, when I was little, actually, I did not do any art because my brother was the artist. And, when you have 3 kids, you have the artist, you have, And I was not the artist. And until I just started finding things that I really enjoyed. Pottery was one, jewelry was another. And I was traveling the world, so jewelry was great to do. And then on the way up to Alaska one year, it was 1974, came through here to visit my folks, and she happened to have one of those Time Life books, 4 pages on stained glass. I went, wow, got those copied. We drove to Seattle. I had $300 in my pocket. I spent $300 on tools and supplies and flew to Alaska, and then I taught myself, Kodiak, Alaska. So I think that's why I do things so differently. I do not recommend teaching yourself glasswork. It's the tough way to go. But I was on Kodiak Island. There was no one around to teach me how to do it. So I made every mistake in the book. And then I decided to learn sandblasting. Again, I had to teach myself. No one was around.
Tell me about your art style.
I listen to my client a lot, but if they choose me, then they have chosen my style of art. So I like whimsical. This is called On the Outskirts of Town. But the title came first, On the Outskirts of Town, and then the whole idea came of it being a skirt, and then it just all came together. And then the one behind you, which you'll probably see later, is called Mother Nature's Hat. And the idea comes first, and then I just draw it. I have a really great friend who is my model. So this is her hand, and that's her face. And so she's a wonderful model for me. So I get ideas, I take photos of her doing something, and then that's how I do it. The client usually has a space where they want it. I do a lot. This one I just finished, and this is a side light that will go beside the door, the front door, and this will go in the door. So this is supposed to flow. This will be quite high. So I listen to them, see what they want. I draw it up, and then we discuss that, and then I start.
What is the process of assembling an art piece?
I buy big sheets of glass, and I have a glass cutter, and I cut it. I cut the glass. I make what they call a cartoon. So that's the design. I make 3 of them. I cut one up, put it on the glass, and cut around it with this. So all it is a little wheel. Hear that? Hear that? So that's how it breaks. It just breaks. And then I grind it. Here's my grinder. I grind it into shape. Then I put this, what's copper foil, and I put this around every single piece. And then once it's all together, right there where the copper foil goes together like this, I take a soldering iron, and it's the solder is 60% lead, 40% zinc, and I run a bead of solder. So every place where you see a black piece, that's where 2 pieces came together, and I soldered them together. So this is called the Tiffany Style. He developed it to make those lamps because very strong, very durable. That's why they still last today. So it's great to be beside a door or hanging up in a bathroom or things like that. And then I always have to do something different. So this is the Tiffany Style glass where I cut every piece, grind every piece, fit every piece. Then this is sandblasting. And I have a sandblaster in there. And on this one, because it's a side light coming up to the outside, I wanted it interesting, so I sandblasted on two sides.
What do you enjoy most about glass art, and do you have a favorite piece you have done over the years?
Mother Nature's hat, because it tapped into a place, a creative place in me that I didn't know was there. As an artist, you'll understand this. And I made a piece that was, I felt, beyond my abilities at the time. It really, really stretched me, and the end result was far beyond I thought I could do. And that's always nice to say, whoa. And I think I'm just passionate about glass, about the color and how beautiful it is. And so you never know how gorgeous it's going to be until you hold it up in front of the light, because you make it on a flat surface. And then you hold it up and you just go, whoa, that's so great. So this is one of my favorite pieces. It's called Mother Nature's Hat. And as you can see, it's a hat, and this is Mother Nature. And I used just about every technique that I know in this piece. So sandblasting, painting. Here's also sandblasting. Gold leafing, right there. Three-dimensional, just kind of a little bit out. Here's three-dimensional here. Fusing, I cut all these pieces, put it in the kiln, melted it, made the head of the parrot. This is called plating, where you take a piece of glass and you put it behind a piece of glass to make shadows. So that's what this is. This is also plating, where it's just overlapped. I just wanted some movement there. So one thing that I do first is that I draw it first, and 9 times out of 10, glasswork won't bend to my ideas, and then I have to figure out how to do it. So this one, I sandblasted and painted. I didn't want a whole bunch of different little pieces. It would make it too heavy, wouldn't be able to bring it out like this. So I sandblasted, painted it, put it in the kiln, and fired it. Same with the leaves, just to not make it so clunky as some Tiffany Style glass can be. Try to lighten it up just a little bit. So that's about that one.
If you are interested in learning more about Janey and her work, visit her website at www.wingglassart.com or call her at 307-683-3451.